Hi, welcome to Landline. We are on episode 6, I believe. I am at the Switchyards location. Switchyards is a co-work space. So I would say I'm at the Switchyards club room, offices, and it's a super cool, like refurbished space in Nashville. They have several locations. Anyways, we're trying this out today to see how it works because we are a Nashville talk show. And we're figuring out, where we kind of fit in the world and the metaverse. Man, I wish I could already start over, but I already started live streaming. Okay, dude, it has been a weird week. Weather here has been super nice and then super crappy, and it's very disorienting. I think I'm aging rapidly, which is distracting. I've officially reached postmenopause, which is insane. And so I'm trying to come to grips with that, which is involving very little personal work other than just occasionally complaining out loud about it. Weird thing to look forward to, ladies. Postmenopause, your hair gets really weird and your skin gets super dry. And that's probably enough for now, because that's not what the topic for today is. The topic for today is pickup artist techniques. I picked this. Okay. Today is about we're growing today because it turns out most people who listen to my podcast are talk show are dudes. And they're dudes aged like 25 to 45. There are many theories as to why this is. Regardless, I thought, I should do some market research. And one of the things I looked up, sorry, I'm distracted by my own hair. One of the things I looked up was, what's the manosphere? Because I'd never heard this before. And then, by the way, if you have a lot of time to kill and very little emotional investment in the issue, knock yourself out. This is a great thing to look up, but put parental controls on. After I looked into it, I would just quickly Googled, like, what are the top trending topics in this area? And one of the things that popped up was PUA techniques. And I was like, what's PUA? And it turns out PUA is pickup artist techniques. This made me laugh out loud. I did not realize this is like a thing. I mean, people go to seminars, people take classes, there are graphs involved. When I started talking to some of my friends about it, they were like, yeah, duh. Didn't you see Tom Cruise in Magnolia? This has been around forever. One of my dude friends wrote me like, what is this, 2008? So apparently everyone else knows about this issue except for me. So as I was reading about it, a few things occurred to me. One, it's such a boring topic that I immediately regretted posting that this would be this week's topic. So I've learned a lesson in no longer picking topics that I think will be popular, because basically I learned like the same lesson I learned in high school. Doing things to be popular suck. So I'm not doing that ever again. Second of all, PUA techniques are alarmingly similar to a lot of things I do all the time in the name of social media marketing or networking. That's a bummer, man. Okay, we're going to go through some of these things, but it's weird. In one context, they sound really like they have kind of nastier names, but you're like, isn't that the same thing as what I'm doing on Instagram, except for I'm just trying to get likes instead of get laid? And that makes me feel really weird. And then ultimately, obviously, all of this is making me just feel like my life has no meaning and I need to start over. Pickup artist techniques. For anyone who's not like a super pro, one of the first things that's going to pop up when you look it up is a name, Andrew Tate. I recommend not clicking that. He's kind of a super buzzkill. Then there's a guy, I think it's Neil something. He wrote a book called The Game. That is very popular with dudes who, I mean, from what I can tell, it's kind of like the book that came out in, I think, the 90s called The Rules for Girls, where it was like, this is how you trick a guy into marrying you. At the end of the day, it's just, I feel like people just kind of playing each other like chess. I mean, there's nothing super, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we raise the stakes like, this is horrendous, where it's like, we don't need to make this such an escalated issue. This is just, okay. People are trying to get laid. Girls are trying to get hitched. I mean, and the same thing now in the digital age, people are trying to get likes. People are trying to get money. People are trying to get attention. And I brought up high school before. People are trying to be popular. And so I think we get repulsed by these things because we're repulsed by it in ourselves when we do it. And it just manifests in different ways. And it's not that that one particular area is so awful. It's like hubris and pride sucks. So when we see it anywhere, it just makes us feel yucky. I mean, it's actually interesting doing this topic this week, even though it super bummed me out, actually sort of leveled my pride and made me sort of like restructure entirely why I'm doing this show, because it made me realize I can't be doing this for what people think. And it's funny because even if I wake up every morning with that perspective, by the end of the day, it's eroded to some sense if I'm not holding on to something. Like for me, that something is a belief in God and staying sober, right? For other people, you have other shit that you believe in. That's fine. But like, it's just interesting. It's so easy to make our lives, I'll speak for myself, to make my life about any sort of moreness that I'm getting from others rather than anything that's solid in myself. So I was not actually expecting to kind of get on this level this early in the podcast, but whatever. Also, I mean, when am I ever planning on anything on this? I swear to God, if I call it a podcast one more time, whatever. Okay. One of the, for people who don't know, PUA, pickup artistry, it's basically, it's the art of seduction. And there's a dude apparently named Mystery who wears like a velvet top hat, and he's the big dude in it now. I mean, the fact that that's a sentence is insane. A guy with a velvet top hat is teaching dudes how to like con girls is just crazy. I mean, and if girls are falling for it, shame on you. Like that's insane. Okay. So the tactics are, one of the things is negging. Negging is where basically you like diss a girl in order to build her up later. Let me see it there. I feel like there's a better definition for it. Hold on. The idea that a woman previously minding her own business will hear a man say, "Nice dress. My grandma has one just like it," and suddenly be overwhelmed with desire. I don't know if that really makes sense. It's the mildly insulting women into bed. So when I was reading about this, what kind of struck me was, isn't that sort of what we're taught to do with any branding, where one of the first steps is you need to tell your client what it is that they're lacking. Like, this is what you are lacking in your life, and that's why you need us. That's kind of just negging, where it's like, aren't you tired of having a dirty home? I have a dirty home. I didn't know I had a dirty home. That's why you need to buy this soap. La la. Like that's negging, dude. Um, then the alpha male is, I guess, from what I could tell, sorry, this is the next one. Alpha male too is standing tall, which is pretty straightforward. I mean, don't hunch. I think like there's a lot more around it where it's like graphs and animal kingdom and blah blah, but I don't know, like don't be a little bitch and like don't be a coward in life, whether that means you're standing up tall or sitting on the toilet. I feel like that's the more important thing here. Like my ex-husband, he was a small dude. He was the bravest person I know and was always the alpha in any room. And it's not because he was standing tall, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's better advice than telling everyone to slouch. Okay. Then there's peacocking. This is the thought behind the velvet top hat. Peacocking is wear something insane and everyone will notice you. Kind of like if you run into traffic, you'll get hit by a car. Yes, everyone will notice you, and maybe a moron will fall for it or like be like, I want to sleep with the guy with the velvet top hat or the feather boa. But I don't understand. This is like wanting to go viral for falling off a roof onto a pine cone for a colonoscopy. Why would you do that? Okay, next. Then there's Kino escalation. This one bummed me out because apparently I do this, or I definitely did this when I was drinking all the time. Kino escalation is also called anchoring, and it's when you touch someone subtly. Now, of course, in the manosphere, it's discussed in this whole like, let me tell you how it's really complicated and like what you need to do for it. And here's how basically you're subtly tricking women into thinking that they have this, bond with you that they didn't know they were establishing with you because you're touching them throughout the night and they don't even know it. And then other women will get pissed at it where they're like, we're being groped and we don't want to be. Okay, as far as I can tell, it's basically the thing that I learned in third grade, which was if I make physical contact with someone, they're more likely to pay attention to me and give me what I want. And yeah, it's like, especially when I was drinking, I would do it all the time. Like if I wanted a guy to pay for my drink, I would touch him on the arm. It's a shitty thing to do. It's sketchy and manipulative and weird. And I remember the first time a dude who wasn't drinking was like, hey, don't touch me. And it made me realize my life is in shambles. I needed to get it together. This leads me to another point. I feel like so much of this only works if people are drunk. Do we have a control group where everyone's sober to see if any of these tactics work? Marketing tactics still work on people when they're just sitting at home sober. But in terms of peacocking and more kind of overt negging, whatever, does that work if the girl's sober? I'm not so sure. Because I know for me, it never did. And I know like whether I was the perpetrator or the recipient of the behavior. So that was just kind of mysterious for me. And then apparently there's something called the mystery method, a cult for men who think women are a cheat code. It's an elaborate multi-step system designed to break a woman down like an old carburetor. The theory is that with enough routines, memorized lines, and psychological tactics, you can win a woman as though she's a door prize and basically not a human being with opinions and a working brain. It's like, okay, so in a lot of ways, that's also exactly what like the algorithm is for Instagram. And in a lot of ways, the algorithm works. Like we swipe or we want more or we lose lots of hours watching stuff. So if people are trying to capitalize on that to get laid, okay. But also it's completely within my power to put down my phone or to walk out of the bar. I don't think a lot of people are like peacocking in church. I can go to places where like that's not happening. And I don't know. Also, can't you smell it like from a mile away when someone's acting like that? It's so obvious and kind of embarrassing because they're trying so hard. I wish I didn't get embarrassed for people when they try hard, but it makes me so self-conscious. I can't take it. If I saw someone with a flamboyant piece of clothing on because they're trying to get attention from girls, that's cringy. I feel weird when a guy sings and it's his job and it's professional. And I live in Nashville, so I'm cringing a lot. So anything performative makes me feel weird. I don't even remember how I got on that. Okay. So when I was reading through these tactics, like one of the things that I was realizing there's similarities is there's stuff like, okay, authenticity wins every time is one of the things that's pushed a lot in social media, right? Like when it's like, if you want to be an influencer, if you want with your branding, be authentic. Everyone wants you to be real. And in PUA, there's a similar thing called demonstrating higher value. And that's where it's about showing, not telling why you're desirable through stories and humor and social proof. Engagement over follower count, which is kind of similar to this technique in PUA called the push-pull technique, where it's teasing, then validating. Consistency creates momentum is a big thing in social media. And then in PUA, there's this thing called repeated exposure and comfort building. All this is to say, I think a lot more people would be willing to admit that they're maximizing social media principles than they are signing up for PUA seminars. But when I saw the two kind of side by side, it made me realize how empty both of them were. And it was a bummer. And it just made me think about, so there's this book called A Course in Miracles, and it's essentially talking about how everything is, let me see, I'm going to pull up my notes. It's like how the only way things are even real is through genuine connection. Right. And like, that's not just sort of like hyperbolic bullshit. It actually doesn't exist unless there's this genuine connection. This actually was really beautifully illustrated with the banning of TikTok briefly, where people had this huge community and then in a moment it's all gone. It's because it's not real. A Course in Miracles is about Like so much of our fear is just in our mind and its perception. Any kind of attention collecting is equally just perception. It's how does this person perceive me? How much am I able to hold on to it? And it's just collecting illusions rather than an actual connection, which sort of crystallizes in a way into something real when it happens. It's sort of like this flash of lightning on the horizon where everything illuminates for a second and you can see what the world is about and like things become real. And this isn't, just poetry or some bullshit I'm saying. I mean, I'm like the world's biggest commitment phobe ever, but like it's just what happens. And if you don't have those connections, if you want to have this sort of collecting, I want to collect likes, I want to collect attention, I want to collect admirers, I want to collect what's that called? Notches on the bedpost. You can just, there's no lightning on the horizon. There's a myth in Buddhism called the hungry ghost. And I remember when I first heard about it, it scared the crap out of me. And I think because something about it I like resonated with, or I don't know, I saw myself in it. And the hungry ghost is, I believe it's something that happens in some version after death where it's some sort of punishment. It's this ghost figure that has a long, really skinny neck and a huge belly. So it's constantly starving, but can't get food down. And the idea is that it's just suffering from insatiability, if that's a word. So no matter what, the more it eats, the hungrier it gets. And it's never full. It's always hungry, never full. And I feel like that part of the human condition is what both of these strategies are playing on. And what's a bummer is we spend time attacking the marketer or the douchebag, but really it's them that are becoming the hungry ghost. And so when I was reading this, I thought of the hungry ghost and I thought of, oh my God, how am I being the hungry ghost? Not like, aren't these people such dicks? It was like, shit, I do that. Like, I don't wear a velvet top hat, but I do that. Like, I feel better if people laugh at my jokes, if people like my stupid reels, if people think my hair looks nice. But the more I get that stuff, it's not like I'm ever happy. It's not like I ever think, oh, okay, that's enough. It's, if anything, it just makes me hungrier. And from what I can tell, it seems to be the same thing with any form of success that requires external validation, which kind of is any, unless it's a spiritual foundation. So this was some jarring shit, guys. This was a very different kind of week. I definitely thought this week I was just going to be making jokes like dick jokes or something. And instead, I kind of had a realization about what my life is. I really like this space. I just looked up and saw there's a little figurine of a woman sitting. I'm going to show you guys. Hold on. Ding. That's funny. Okay. I'm also thinking, whoops, I was just talking to whoa, sorry. Uh, for the listeners, I kind of just flashed everyone. Sorry. I was also just thinking I maybe want to start smoking because like that seems awesome. And why did I quit in the first place? And I'm not sitting close to the mic, and I saw Dave Chappelle do his opener on SNL, and he just came out smoking, and it was like, why am I vaping, man? Smoking is like, why am I making this hard on myself? Let's just do it. I mean, there's no way I'm healthy anyways. What am I doing? Whenever people tell me they quit smoking, I'm like, congratulations, I guess. Smoking's awesome. So that's my thing I'm doing to help America is spread the word on that let's bring nicotine back. And then also like Chappelle needs to wear boxer briefs when he's doing TV appearances. Or maybe not. I mean, do what you want. Maybe that's part of the peacocking. I don't know. That guy's doing great in life. I'm sitting here with a fake palm tree. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are the best. And I'm actually in a great mood. This was a really fun episode. I hope you enjoyed it too. Okay. I guess I should say this is Landline. It's the call in show that picks up in Nashville. The number is 615 212 5437. Call anytime, leave a message. We'll play it on the air. Call on Fridays after 3 p.m. and I'll roll the call live. In a couple weeks, we're going to be doing this in the public access studio here, and I'll have a co-host, Claire. She'll be back. She's great. And you can call about anything. You can ask a question. You can give advice. You can tell us a story. I post suggested prompts online on our socials at the Landline Show. But really you can call in about anything, anytime. It's just a show about connecting, sharing, laughing, and trying to remember that humans can be fun. Okay. Have a great weekend. Bye.